Hey everybody, welcome to Sports Czech. We've got Melky Cabrera's fake website, the Rockets' return to baseball, and my college football season preview. Stay tuned. This is your Sports Check. What's up, world? It's that time of year again, and you know what that means. Football! Football! I just want to tackle something. Ah! Somebody stop me. Random mask reference? It works, but before I go headfirst into the new season, I have to deal with the baseball season that's still going on. It's so long, which could cause one to get bored, complacent, and downright disengaged. And when that happens, mistakes can be made. Right? Melky Cabrera. This guy. Mr. Cabrera is currently serving a 50-game suspension after testing positive for synthetic testosterone a few weeks ago. That's old news, but the plot thickens. The Giants hitter mounted a campaign to avoid his suspension by using a fake website that featured a fake product that he supposedly used that triggered the positive drug test. Ladies and gentlemen, we have reached an all-time low. All aboard the short bus! Melky allegedly had a paid consultant connected with his agents purchase the website in order to fool the league and the players union into thinking that he had purchased a spiked compound. I'll spare you guys the details and just say the Major League investigators quickly found the site to be a hoax and Cabrera's suspension still stands. No. But a fake website was such a great plan, said no one ever. Actually, I've obtained an exclusive screenshot of the site just for you.
Step right up, step right up. Let me guess your weight.
The Players Union initially filed a grievance against Cabrera's deception, which would have gone before an arbitrator, but it was dropped. And while Melky dodged that bullet, he'll surely see his stock plummet in free agency despite a year where he was leading the National League in hits with a .346 batting average. Analysts say he's already potentially lost over $75 million in future long-term deals. As it turns out, somebody else in the baseball realm was also having illusions of grandeur. And steroids. Not 3 months removed from his acquittal of perjury, Roger Clemens is giving baseball one last shot at the age of 50. After a pitching session Monday, the Rocket promptly signed with the Sugarland Skeeters. Skeeters. And if he plays well on Saturday, there's a very real chance he could rejoin the Houston Astros where he spent 3 seasons, including his 7th Cy Young season in 2004. But the question is, why? Clemens becomes eligible for the Hall of Fame next year, but getting back in the major leagues would push that eligibility back another 5 years. And why would he want to do a thing like that? Oh, Roger, you sly devil. Sounds like someone's not too keen on standing in the line to Cooperstown with the class of 2000 and steroids. So, how long you been here? I get it, Raj. And don't you worry, when it comes to the Hall of Fame, time heals all wounds. Just ask Pete Rose. Bottom line, if Clemens is good enough to make it into the Hall of Fame, it'll happen. So do we really need to see this publicity stunt as his last ride off into the sunset? And now for something far less depressing, I give you shiny. Now, there are a bunch of teams in the landscape of college football, and it's a lot easier to eliminate the pretenders from the contenders. So, automatically I eliminate any teams outside of the top 15 from contention. In the last 10 years, only 3 teams have jumped from there inside of the top 2 of the final poll, and only one of those got to play for the championship. Then I go through the top 11 to 15 to see if there's a dark horse in the herd somewhere. Texas. No. This team is one of the most overrated teams in the entire top 25, and they've done nothing to prove that they're back in the title hunt at all. They're probably more ready for somewhere outside of the top 20. Clemson. Probably not. I still remember last year's Orange Bowl where they got destroyed by West Virginia. I think they let them score 70 points. Then they lost all their offensive linemen, and then Sammy Watkins gets suspended for the first 2 games of the season. If they lose to Auburn in the season opener, that could derail their entire season completely. Michigan State. Sorry. No Kirk Cousins, no championship. And same thing for Wisconsin. Danny O'Brien, you are no Russell Wilson. West Virginia. You see, this is a team I can get behind. I think Geno Smith is really ready to take the Mountaineers into the Big 12 his very first year. Or is it the Big 10? Big 12, who cares? It doesn't really matter. The fact of the matter is, they're going in there for the very first year, and I really think they got a good shot to go through the Big 12. The Big 12 is really inconsistent, but then again, I did think that Nebraska was going to win the Big 10 in its first year. Finally, I try to see if there are any pretenders in the top 10. Not everyone belongs. Like Michigan. No way. I still remember Michigan getting blown out by Mississippi State not even 2 years ago in a bowl game. So, no, they're not ready for the big show yet. No, look at that. They put Florida State in the top 10 again. Everybody talks about their great defense, but after 2 years of disappointment, I'll believe it when I see it. Got a few bubble teams too. And these are teams where their season could go either way. So I'm seeing South Carolina, Arkansas, they could just implode or do very well. USC got depth issues because of the 2-year NCAA sanctions. It's hard to compete out there when you don't have a full team. And does anyone still believe in Oklahoma? And now we've come to the contenders. Arkansas is on the outside looking in, but they have home games against LSU and Alabama, so they have a small chance to make some noise. I just hope this team realizes that this is their only shot, and without Petrino there to draw recruits, the Razorbacks may very well be headed back to the cellar of the SEC West after this year. Georgia will play the Lucky Dogs again this year without a match against LSU or Bama, but that lowers their margin for error even more. A loss anywhere before the SEC Championship, and I'm not sure they'll be able to compete once they get to Atlanta. You saw the game last year. When it comes to USC and Oregon, they're in the same boat. Their biggest competition is each other, and literally no one else. Both teams have weaknesses, but on opposite sides of the ball. The Trojans have serious depth issues along the defensive line, which doesn't bode well against Oregon's speedy attack. On the other hand, Oregon's offense isn't quite as talented as they have been in recent years. The game on November 3rd will be big, but not a deal breaker, as they'll likely meet in the Pac-12 championship. The other big game on November 3rd features the SEC's two-headed monster, LSU and Alabama. The game switches to Baton Rouge, where we're sure to be in for another great game. Not that the national championship was a good game. This year, Alabama will again have to retool on defense, but it'll be easier this year than in 2010 now that Nick Saban has his recruits in order. They'll also be looking for a top playmaker to emerge on offense who will be aided by returning quarterback A.J. McCarron and what some believe will be the best offensive line in the country. LSU lost Tyrann Mathieu, and they'll miss his big play ability, but he was almost a non-factor against Alabama last year, and that might actually work in the Tigers' favor. They also returned a defensive line that can match up every bit with Alabama's front five. New quarterback Zach Mettenberger will have to find a top target, but a deep stable of running backs will keep the pressure off him in his first year behind center. Going into the new season of college football, there's no clear winner, and sure things are a luxury at best. Other than the Big East managing to be even less relevant than last year. But nevertheless, I can't wait to see it all unfold. Every team could lose this season, and that's when it gets interesting. The only real loser in this situation will be my couch. And that's the show for this week. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and leave me a comment below the video here or on Facebook. And you can follow me on Twitter. I tweet. Bam! So, until next time, I'm Seth Hagan, and this has been your Sports Check. Later. Man, knew I should have watched more Sports Check. The other big game on November 3rd features the SEC's two-headed monster, LSU and...